What's going on, guys? It's your boy Andy Matrix. And holy smokes. Holy smokes. You know something? I was expecting, many things from Square Enix, even from the directors. But I was not expecting, this. But you know what? I can kind of understand why he would say this, right? The director of Final Fantasy 16. Now, I am here at VG247.com, and it says, as Final Fantasy 16 boss Naoki Yoshida calls it discriminatory, it is time to drop the term JRPG. So basically, the director of Final Fantasy 16 says that the term JRPG is racist.
What? What the fuck?
Racist. Right? That's what he's saying. It's again, he's a Japanese man. I think I know why he's saying that, but let's go ahead and find out. Guys, so before we get started, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit the notification bell for future notifications. I talk about anime, manga, video games, geek culture, Japanese culture. If you're into any of that stuff, then make sure to subscribe, baby. Now on with the show. Okay, so Naoki Yoshida. Okay, so Final Fantasy 16 is just around the corner. You know, it's not too the game is not too far away from release date. Right now, as of the time of this video, it is March. It is March, the month of March. We have March, we have April, May, and June. So we're 4 months away. Not too far. You know, we got a little bit to go. Before we actually get there. But I've seen this. I've seen people talking about this. The term JRPG. All of a sudden, fast forward till 2023. Now it is a racist term because that's everybody is, racially sensitive now. So let's go ahead and read. So like always, I'm going to skip all the fluff and junk and I'm going to get straight to it. So it says Yoshida doesn't like the term JRPG, meaning Japanese RPG game, and goes on to explain that the first time he heard it, he felt it was a discriminatory term. I'm gonna get to that in a moment. But let's keep reading. So this is what he actually says here. He says this is going to depend on who you ask, but there was a time when the term first appeared 15 years ago, about 2005, 2004, right? And for us as developers, the first time we heard it, it was like a discriminatory term, as though we were being made fun of for creating these games. And so, for some developers, the term JRPG can be something that will maybe trigger bad feelings because of what it was in the past. It wasn't a compliment to a lot of developers in Japan. Okay, and then it says we understand that recently JRPG has better connotations and is being used as a positive, but we still remember the time when it was used as a negative. As a negative? Are you kidding me? That's hard to imagine. But, okay, being an RPG fan, being a guy who mostly plays RPG games, this is hard to comprehend. Okay, then finally he says, Yoshida goes on to also note that the definition of JRPG is often something that basically describes Final Fantasy VII, placing this subgenre into compartmentized constraints that he feels simply doesn't make sense. Okay, fine. Now, okay, so he said all of that. That's basically how he defines JRPG. And I could understand back then, we didn't know a lot about Japan back in the 2000s, and anime was still kind of fresh, in the Toonami and all that. You guys know the history. The term JRPG has no racism behind it. There's no racial hatred towards it. The term JRPG was made to identify video games, RPG video games that came from Japan specifically. So back then, Japan didn't have, millions of people traveling, to Kyoto to go see the Fushimi Shrine, right? Back then, Japan didn't have millions of people storming into Tokyo in Akihabara, right? Back then, again, back in the 2000s, it was just the beginning, right? The term JRPG had absolutely no racial hatred behind it. And I know because I lived during that time. The term JRPG, it was specifically to identify RPG games made in Japan. So this has nothing to... It was not made to discriminate against the Japanese. I know the Japanese have a crazy history here in America, back after, World War II. But the term JRPG is just a gaming term. Because I'm pretty sure let's say if South America, whether if it's Mexico or Brazil, if they make a certain RPG game with a certain style to it, then it will be labeled a Latino RPG game. Same thing with Russian. Like, let's say Russia makes an RPG game, it will develop the name Russian RPG. That's just how it is. It doesn't have any hatred behind it. People are not using it to discriminate against anybody. It's just a way to identify the origins of the game, right? The origins of the game. Because if we don't use JRPG for Japan, we're gonna use something else. It's probably gonna be something like, I don't know, Otaku JRPG. Okay, that didn't sound cool. That didn't sound cool at all. But I really don't like how nowadays everybody is so sensitive, because you can see everything that people are saying on the internet, and it's easy to get offended. So Naoki Yoshida is a Japanese man working on Final Fantasy games. I get it. Maybe he didn't like the term. Maybe he took it the wrong way. Maybe the first time he heard it, he kind of saw it as something that was like, discriminatory towards the Japanese. But the term JRPG was not made to insult Japanese people in any way. Okay? It was, especially back then, people just didn't know. And for example, did you know back then in the 2000s, in the 1990s, we didn't call it anime. We did not call it anime. It was actually called Japanimation. Japanimation. Now, why was it called Japanimation? Because it was animation, cartoons, coming out of Japan into America back in the 90s and the early 2000s. It wasn't until the 2000s that we started calling it anime. But in the 1990s, it was Japanimation. I bet you didn't know that, did you? And again, it wasn't a term made to discriminate against the Japanese. It was just to identify where is this coming from. So Americans just kind of like gave it a name. And that's all I have to say. Whatever your thoughts are, make sure to comment below. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell for future notifications. It's your boy, Andy Matrix. Thank you for watching and listening. Godspeed, baby.